Let's talk about that harp. The harp is a pretty unique instrument you don't see all the time. Tell us about that.
Um, it's funny that people are always exactly saying that. So like it's unique. I never see a harp, but I didn't buy my harp here in Seattle, but the harp maker, Dusty Strings, that made my harp, is located here in Seattle. And when I moved into that Craigslist house, that house was like a handful of blocks away from the Dusty Strings showroom. So like in some ways I'm like, I see harps all the time. What are you talking about? But yeah, so I play a Celtic folk harp. There are a couple of different, or like that's an important distinction because oftentimes when people think about harps, they think about symphonic harps or like basically concert harps, which are the ones that you see in symphonies. So like they're really tall. They're like taller than the harpist sometimes, depending on the harpist. And so those harps are made with pedals. So you actually change keys and sort of go from like a sharp of a note to natural to flat using foot pedals. And a Celtic harp is a smaller harp. You'll see mine later. But you change key with levers. And Celtic harps are usually considered more like folk instrumentation and are often considered sort of student harps or starter harps. But I have never been limited on it. And actually, I really love it because whenever anybody's like, oh, you play a folk harp, I'm always like, yeah, you try carrying a concert harp up 5 flights of stairs for a gig. Like, see ya.
Which we did in Denmark.
Yes.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, so I play harp. I started playing harp when I was about 14, which is a little bit late for many. And I didn't play piano first, which is another sort of common route, and though definitely not the only route. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
What made you decide to start playing the harp?
I was very roundabout. I was a competitive gymnast and I injured myself too badly to keep going with that. And I was also like way too tall to be a gymnast. And in retrospect, I'm like, this was a brilliant move by all the adults in my life. I was clueless at the time. But so I was about 14 and I was going from having spent like my entire life basically in a gym. So like going from school directly to like gymnastics practice to having all this free time. And I'm sure that, I haven't actually asked them this, but like I made the connection like a year ago where I was like, wait a second. Because I'm sure most of the adults in my life were like, this is going to be a disaster. You're like taking a 14-year-old who's like just in high school and like being like, have all this free time that you don't know what to do with that you've never had before. They were like, don't do drugs, play the harp instead. But yeah, I had a friend whose mother played the harp and it caught my interest and that interest was encouraged. So the rest is history.
Now, when you started playing, did you envision being in like a symphony one day? Or?
No, I just played for myself, which sounds very, not selfish, but like, yeah, I liked playing certain repertoire. I really do like a lot of like folk music and sort of like that like minor key instrumentation that I hear, or at least a lot of the harp music and a lot of the folk music that I listened to growing up sort of drew from. And it does have a very unique sound. So I really just played for myself. I've never had particular interest in playing in an orchestra. And I meant what I said earlier. Like I had never occurred to me to be in a band until I was in a band. Like I wouldn't even have known like like that was just like such an alien concept to me that it really never crossed my mind. So yeah, maybe that's a pity, but hey, I landed in a good place, so I'm not sad.
All right. You mentioned that most people go from piano to playing harp. Are the strings on a harp laid out like a piano, like the C, D, E, F, G? Or?
Sort of. You don't have. It's sort of like one string per note. So you don't have the black keys. Think of it that way.
Okay.
And the way that you would get sort of those black keys or your sharps and flats is through the levers if you're playing a folk harp or the pedals if you're playing a concert harp. But yeah, the way you think about it, I think, is similar to piano. Or like I'm a rotten pianist, but I can like pick things out on piano because I know how to play the harp.
Okay.
So they do translate to some level.
And then there's like colored strings, right? That's
yes.
like octaves.
Yes.
Which are great for the sun.
Oh my gosh. They do sometimes cause problems. So all of my C strings are red and all of my F strings are blue, which normally is great because it makes a lot of sense to have it laid out like that, because if you think about it, like when you have 36 is my number of strings I have, but like 36 translucent strings, and they're all the same color, like it becomes very difficult to know what note you're playing, or like your chances of messing up are much higher. But I have been in venues where they've had like red or blue light, or like purple light. Oh, that's the worst. And it just shines through my harp strings, and like they basically become invisible, and I'm like, oh dear. Well, this will be an interesting show.
So
you never want to play in like a glow in the dark mini golf
venue?
You just have to count the strings.
Count the strings.
Count the strings. Yeah.
No, I'd probably have to like put some other marker on it. Or you know what I have seen some harpists do is actually like put a thread of lights down the baseboard of their harp, which could help, because it would just give me like my own source of light to sort of cue off of. But
okay.
It's a very technical answer. I'm sure like the 3 harpists who are listening to this and like considering gigging and considering lighting are like, that's good to know.
I wonder if you could have like sort of fiber optic strings.
Exactly.
Or like
LED.
shiny.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
That'd be awesome, actually.
I've seen something like that. I'd have to YouTube that. It's definitely not common, but
you heard it here first. We're patent pending. All right. So Darren, and you play the guitar and piano. How did you get into playing?
So I started playing piano. My parents put me in classical piano when I was 5, and I played until I was 14. And then when I was 14, they kind of gave me the option, to either keep playing piano or not. I chose not to, because I was like, this sucks. I hate playing. I hate recitals. I hate practicing. And then a few years later, my senior year of high school, I decided to actually start playing piano again and take lessons. And then my first year of college, actually, I was a piano major before I switched majors. And so I played piano, I think up until my mid to late 20s, and then I stopped. I played in a previous band, and I didn't sing at that point. I was just playing piano, and I was just kind of done. And so I stopped playing piano, and a good friend of mine showed me like literally 4 chords on guitar. And from that point forward, I never took a guitar lesson, but I just started teaching myself guitar based upon what I heard. Because piano, taking piano lessons and classical piano, like, you're so tuned into what should come next for chord progressions and for keys and for, it's so structured and so linear that I had a hard time songwriting on piano, but guitar kind of broke me out of that, because it allowed me to actually play and songwrite based upon what I heard. Even if I was playing like a kind of a standard progression, I didn't know what I was playing, and I still don't now. Like, I still have no idea when I'm playing a song. My bandmates, what key is that in? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. So for me, guitar was, kind of very liberating instrument to break free from piano. And so it wasn't literally until, about 2 or 3 years ago that we started bringing piano back into the mix. So the piano song that we have on Through the Night was the first piano song that I had written in, I don't know, in like probably 12, 13, 14 years. And then on our new album that's coming out, I think there's 7 piano songs. Yeah. So it's actually more piano songs than guitar songs. So it's really cool.
Hybrid. One has piano and guitar.
No, it's true. So it's kind of cool, because like I feel like for me, piano has kind of come back into my life in a way that I finally feel more liberated, and I'm able to break out of that traditional classical training and structure, and actually songwrite in a way that I couldn't before. And so I think that's really evident in these new songs that we have coming out soon, in terms of piano. So now I would say it's pretty equal in some ways between piano and guitar in terms of what we play, or what I play.
All right. And obviously you both sing as well, and we've got some incredible harmonization that goes on there. Did you have like vocal training before the band, or?
I did not. Nope.
Yeah, I had some classical training. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sang a lot. Both of us sang in a number of choirs.
We sing in choirs.
I think singing, but like I had more of a classical like training bent, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think one thing we realized is that, from the very beginning and even now, is that our voices blend, just our vocal tone and everything about it blends super well together. So, which is just luck.